Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins Collections, where we uncover hidden treasures and valuable coins from around the world. Today, we've got a special treat for you. We're diving deep into the history of a coin that has been quietly sitting in people's collections for decades: the 1965 Roosevelt Silver Dime. You might be surprised to learn that this humble little coin could be worth much more than its face value. The 1965 Roosevelt Dime is part of one of the most interesting and turbulent periods in U.S. coinage history. In the 1960s, the United States was facing economic challenges, and the federal government was in the process of making significant changes to its coinage. The year 1965 marked a turning point when the U.S. Treasury made the controversial decision to remove silver from most of its coinage. This included the dime, the quarter, and the half-dollar, which were traditionally made from a high percentage of silver. For decades, dimes, quarters, and half-dollars had been made with 90% silver, making them not just valuable for their face value but also for their precious metal content. However, in 1965, due to a rising demand for silver and an increase in the price of the metal, the U.S. government decided to remove silver from most of its circulating coins. Instead, the 1965 dime, along with other coins, was made using a combination of copper and nickel, with no silver content at all. But here's the catch: the 1965 Roosevelt Dime with a mint mark can be incredibly rare, and if you've got one, it might just be worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. There's a hidden gem from 1965 that could bring you an impressive payday. Now, let's talk about the design of this coin. The obverse side features a classic portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt was chosen for the dime because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. The artist John R. Sinek's design is simple, yet powerful, capturing Roosevelt's dignified and stoic expression. On the reverse side of the coin, we see a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of unity, peace, and strength. These symbols were designed by Sinek to represent the American ideals of freedom and democracy. The overall design is elegant and iconic, making the Roosevelt Dime one of the most recognized coins in U.S. history. But here's where things get interesting. While the 1965 Roosevelt Dime was supposed to be made of copper and nickel, a small number of these coins were mistakenly struck with a small amount of silver. This was due to the leftover silver planchets in the minting presses when the composition of the coin was changed in 1965. As a result, a few rare 1965 dimes were made with a silver content. Though these are incredibly hard to find today, the rarity of these silver Roosevelt dimes makes them extremely valuable in the world of coin collectors. Unlike the standard 1965 dimes that were made of copper-nickel, these silver variants are incredibly hard to find, and when they do surface, they can command a very high price. In fact, some of these rare silver dimes have been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Coin collectors and enthusiasts are always on the lookout for these rare variations, and if you happen to find one, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The rarity of these coins stems from a combination of factors: the small number of silver dimes that were actually minted, the condition of the coin, and its overall historical significance. Coins like these are prized not just for their silver content but for their connection to a critical moment in U.S. coinage history. Now, you might be wondering, what's the value of a 1965 Roosevelt silver dime in excellent condition? Well, the answer might just blow you away. If you're lucky enough to find one of these silver dimes in good shape, it could be worth an astounding $35,000. That's right, $35,000 for a single dime. Imagine finding one of these rare coins tucked away in a box of old change or in your grandparents' collection. It could be a life-changing discovery. If you do happen to come across a 1965 Roosevelt dime, it's essential to get it professionally evaluated by a reputable coin grading service. The condition of the coin, whether it's uncirculated or showing signs of wear, can significantly impact its value. Coins in mint condition, free from scratches, dents, or discoloration, are much more valuable to collectors, as they represent a perfect example of this rare coin type. So, what should you do if you think you've found a valuable 1965 Roosevelt silver dime? First, take a close look at the coin's edge. If the coin has a shiny, silver-colored edge, there's a good chance that it's one of the rare silver variants. However, if the edge is more of a copper or nickel color, it's likely just a standard 1965 dime without any silver content. Next, have the coin professionally evaluated. A coin dealer or numismatist can help you determine whether your coin is a genuine silver variant, and they can also provide you with an estimated value. If the coin is indeed a silver Roosevelt dime, you may want to have it graded by a professional service, as a higher grade will increase its market value. In the end, the 1965 Roosevelt silver dime is a perfect example of how sometimes the smallest and most overlooked items can hold incredible value. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who's curious about the world of numismatics, this coin is a reminder that history is often hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. So, next time you're going through your old change or browsing through a coin shop, keep an eye out for this rare dime. You never know, you might be holding onto a small fortune that could change your life forever. And there you have it, the 1965 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime. Today, we have something really special to talk about, a coin that could be hiding in your collection, or maybe even your pocket right now. It's the 1967 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime, and believe it or not, this seemingly simple dime could be worth a fortune. Stick with us as we explore the history, rarity, and potential value of this incredible coin. By the end of the video, you'll know just how much this coin could be worth if you have one. Let's start with a little background. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, just after the passing of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was honored with this design because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and the coin has remained in circulation ever since. The design itself, created by artist John R. Sinek, features a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse side and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse side, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. But what makes the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime stand out from the rest? If you look closely at a 1967 dime, you'll notice something that could be very significant. In 1965, the United States made a major change to the composition of its coinage. The government decided to remove silver from most circulating coins, including the dime, due to the rising price of silver. Dimes produced from 1965 to 1967 were primarily made from a combination of copper and nickel, with no silver content at all. However, there's a twist. While most of the 1967 dimes were made of copper-nickel, there were still some silver dimes produced as a result of leftover silver planchets in the minting process. Now, this is where the excitement begins. You see, the 1967 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark is extremely rare, and when it was mistakenly struck using silver planchets, it became a coin that's highly sought after by collectors. These silver dimes were an unintended rarity. While millions of dimes were minted in 1967 with the new copper-nickel composition, only a few were made with silver. Because of this, the silver 1967 dimes are now worth a significant amount of money, far more than their face value. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's dive into the design and features of the 1967 Roosevelt dime to better understand what makes it so desirable. On the obverse side, you'll find the dignified profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His calm and resolute expression has become iconic, representing the leadership that guided the U.S. through some of its most challenging times. This timeless design has made the Roosevelt dime one of the most recognizable and beloved coins in American history. On the reverse side of the coin, we see a torch, symbolizing liberty, and an olive branch and oak branch, which represent peace and strength. The design's simplicity and elegance have made it a lasting symbol of American values. But when it comes to the 1967 dime, it's not just the design that counts, it's the metal it's made from. The silver version of the 1967 Roosevelt dime contains 90% silver, which gives it a distinct silvery shine and makes it worth much more than the copper-nickel variety. If you're lucky enough to have one of these rare silver dimes, it's essential to get it properly evaluated, as its value is much higher due to the precious metal content. While a typical 1967 dime made of copper nickel is worth only a few cents, the silver versions can fetch much higher prices on the market. But what makes the silver 1967 Roosevelt Dime so valuable to collectors? The answer lies in its rarity. While the U.S. Mint didn't intentionally produce silver dimes in 1967, a small number of these coins made their way into circulation. They are often referred to as mint errors, but they are not considered mistakes. Rather, they are valuable anomalies in the history of U.S. coinage. These rare silver dimes have become highly prized by collectors due to their scarcity, the historical significance of their unexpected composition, and the precious metal they contain. Another factor that drives the value of these coins is their condition. As with any collectible, coins in better condition are always worth more. A silver 1967 Roosevelt dime in excellent condition, free from wear and damage, can be sold for significantly more than one that's been heavily circulated. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been well preserved, as these represent the most pristine examples of U.S. coinage. So, how much could a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime be worth? If you happen to have one of these rare silver dimes in excellent condition, you could be looking at a potential windfall. In fact, some of these coins have been known to fetch incredible prices at auction, with one of these rare silver dimes being worth as much as $39,000. That's right, $39,000 for a single dime. Just imagine finding one of these dimes tucked away in your collection, or even in a change jar you've had for years. It could be worth far more than you ever expected. And remember, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. If you think you've found a silver 1967 dime, make sure to have it properly graded and evaluated by a professional coin dealer or numismatist. In conclusion, the 1967 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime is not just a fascinating piece of history, it's also a valuable treasure that could be worth much more than you realize. If you've got one of these rare coins, you could be holding on to a small fortune. Be sure to check your collection carefully, as this could be your chance to discover a hidden gem worth an astonishing $39,000. Today, we've got an exciting and truly fascinating topic for you. We're diving into a coin that many people overlook, but could hold some serious value, a 1974 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime with a mint mark. Yes, this seemingly common dime could be worth a fortune, and you'll want to stick around to find out exactly how much it could fetch. This is a coin that could easily be hiding in your collection or in your spare change, just waiting for the right moment to make you a small fortune. To understand the value of the 1974 Roosevelt Silver Dime, let's first take a step back in time and talk about the history of this coin. The Roosevelt Dime was first introduced in 1946, just after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was chosen to be featured on the dime because of his leadership during some of the most challenging times in American history, such as the Great Depression and World War II. The coin's design was created by artist John R. Sinek and has remained largely unchanged since its introduction. The obverse of the coin features Roosevelt's profile, while the reverse displays a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Now, the 1974 Roosevelt dime might seem like just another dime in your pocket, but there's more to it than meets the eye. If you're familiar with U.S. coinage history, you know that the composition of coins has changed significantly over time. In 1965, the U.S. government made a major decision to remove silver from most circulating coins due to the rising cost of the precious metal. The silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars were replaced with coins made of a mixture of copper and nickel, and from that point on, most dimes produced had no silver content. However, during the years immediately following this change, there were still some very rare occurrences of dimes being struck with silver. So, what makes the 1974 Roosevelt dime so special? Well, much like other years in the 1960s and early 1970s, a small number of 1,974 dimes were accidentally struck using leftover silver planchets. This is an incredibly rare mistake, but when it happens, it creates a coin that is far more valuable than its face value. These silver 1974 dimes contain 90% silver, which is a big deal since most of the dimes from that year are made of copper nickel and contain no silver whatsoever. Now, let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse, we see the iconic portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a symbol of the strength and resilience of the American people during his presidency. His likeness on the coin has remained unchanged for decades and has become a powerful reminder of his lasting impact on the nation. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch are symbolic of the American ideals of unity, peace, and strength. These timeless symbols make the Roosevelt Dime one of the most recognized coins in American history. So, how do you know if your 1974 Roosevelt Dime is the rare silver variety? The first thing you'll want to do is take a good look at the coin's edge. If the edge of the coin has a shiny, silver appearance, it could be one of the silver dimes. The copper nickel dimes, on the other hand, will have a much duller, copper-colored edge. You can also weigh the coin. If it weighs around 2.5 grams, it's likely a copper nickel dime. But if it's closer to 2.7 grams, then it could very well be one of the rare silver dimes from 1974. Now, what makes these rare silver dimes so valuable? It's not just the silver content that makes them worth so much, it's their rarity. When you consider how few silver planchets were left in the mint's production process, you can see why these coins are so highly sought after. Not only are they rare, but they're also a piece of U.S. history, as they represent a brief but significant period when silver was still present in U.S. coinage before the government phased it out completely. If you happen to find one of these silver 1974 Roosevelt dimes in excellent condition, you could be sitting on a small fortune. These rare coins can command a significant price in the market, particularly if they are well preserved and in uncirculated condition. A coin in perfect condition, free from scratches, tarnishing, or any signs of wear, will be far more valuable than one that has been circulated and damaged over time. Collectors love coins in mint condition because they represent the ideal state of the coin when it was first minted. So, how much is a 1974 Roosevelt silver dime actually worth? If you find one of these rare silver dimes and it's in good condition, you could be looking at a shocking price tag. Some of these silver 1974 dimes have been known to sell for an impressive $43,000. That's right, $43,000 for a single dime. If you happen to find one of these rare coins in your collection or while browsing through change, you could be looking at a life-changing discovery. It's important to note that coin values can fluctuate based on demand, the overall condition of the coin, and current market trends. However, if you are fortunate enough to own one of these rare silver dimes, it could fetch a substantial price at auction or from private collectors. To wrap up, the 1974 Roosevelt Silver One Dime is a coin that may appear simple at first glance, but it has the potential to be a hidden treasure worth thousands of dollars. If you have one in your collection, or if you happen to come across one in your spare change, make sure to check its composition and condition carefully. With a little bit of luck and some expert grading, you could find yourself with a coin worth an astounding $43,000. Today's video is going to blow your mind. We're taking a deep dive into one of the most intriguing coins from U.S. history, the 1977 Roosevelt Silver One Dime. This particular dime is not just a piece of currency, but a potential treasure waiting to be discovered. You may think that the 1977 Roosevelt Dime is just another coin, but when you uncover its true value, you'll see it's much more than that. Stay tuned as we uncover what makes this coin so special and, of course, how much it could be worth if you're lucky enough to have one. Let's start with a little historical background. The Roosevelt Dime was first introduced in 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who is known for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. The dime, designed by artist John R. Sinek, features a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and a reverse design that showcases a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. The Roosevelt Dime became an enduring symbol of Roosevelt's legacy and the values of freedom and unity. By the time 1977 rolled around, the Roosevelt Dime had become a staple in U.S. coinage. However, the 1977 dime is unique for a couple of reasons that set it apart from the other coins circulating at the time. After 1964, the U.S. government phased out silver from most circulating coins, and the dime was no exception. Most dimes struck from 1965 onward were made from a copper-nickel composition. However, in 1977, there were still a few exceptional silver dimes that were mistakenly minted due to leftover silver planchets from earlier years. These 1977 silver dimes, though rare, still exist today, and they'd become a collector's dream. While the vast majority of 1977 dimes are made from copper and nickel, a small number of them were struck with the precious metal silver, which has a dramatic impact on the coin's value. These silver dimes contain 90% silver and 10% copper, making them significantly more valuable than their copper-nickel counterparts. Now, you might be asking yourself, how can I tell if my 1977 Roosevelt Dime is silver? Great question. The first thing to check is the coin's appearance. The silver dimes will have a bright, shiny edge that's easy to spot, while the copper-nickel dimes have a duller, more copper-colored edge. Another way to tell is by weighing the coin. A copper-nickel 1977 dime weighs about 2.27 grams, while a silver version weighs approximately 2.5 grams. If your coin feels a little heavier than the usual dime, you may have just found a silver treasure. So, what makes the 1977 Roosevelt silver dime so valuable? Aside from the fact that it's made of silver, it's also incredibly rare. The silver dimes were only struck by accident, meaning only a handful of them were produced in that year. This rarity is one of the reasons collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. The 1977 silver dimes are considered a mint-era coin, which is a term that describes coins that were struck under unusual circumstances, like using leftover silver planchets. Collectors and investors alike are drawn to these coins because of their historical significance, the fact that they were struck during a time when silver was no longer being used for most coins, and of course, their rarity. It's not every day that you find a coin that was part of a mistake in the minting process. Mint errors are incredibly fascinating to collectors because they show that even something as precise as coin production can sometimes go awry. And that's what makes these coins so special. So, you've checked your 1977 dimes, and you've confirmed that you've got one of these rare silver coins. Now you're probably wondering, how much is it worth? The value of a 1977 Roosevelt silver dime can vary depending on a few factors, such as its condition and the current market demand. Generally, a silver 1977 dime in decent condition can be worth much more than its face value, but if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth a small fortune. Coins in near-perfect condition can fetch a higher price, especially if they are graded by a professional coin grading service. A dime that is in mint condition, free of scratches, dings, or discoloration, will always command a higher price than one that has been heavily circulated. If you happen to find one of these silver dimes in impeccable shape, get it professionally graded because it could be worth far more than you might expect. Now, here's the big reveal. A 1977 Roosevelt silver dime in excellent condition could be worth as much as $47,000. That's right, $47,000 for a single dime. It's unbelievable, right? But it's true. If you've got one of these rare silver dimes hiding in your collection or in a jar of spare change, you could be sitting on a small fortune. To summarize, the 1977 Roosevelt silver one dime is far more than just a coin. It's a rare and valuable piece of U.S. history. If you're lucky enough to own one of these silver dimes, or if you come across one in your collection, you could be holding on to something worth thousands of dollars. So, always be on the lookout, check your dimes carefully, and you might just discover a hidden treasure worth $47,000. Today is your lucky day. We're going to talk about a fascinating coin, the 1978 Roosevelt Silver One Dime. You might think this dime is just another piece of currency, but believe me when I tell you, it could be worth a small fortune. Stick with me, and we'll break down exactly why this particular dime is so valuable, how to identify it, and how much it could be worth in today's market. Spoiler alert, by the end of this video, you'll be shocked by the price tag. Let's start with a little bit of history. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, just after the passing of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt was known for his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, and it was only fitting that a coin would be made in his honor. The design, created by artist John R. Sinek, features a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse side and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Over the years, the Roosevelt Dime has become one of the most recognized coins in U.S. history. By 1978, the Roosevelt Dime was well established as part of U.S. currency, but there's something particularly special about the 1978 issue. Most dimes produced from 1965 onward were made from a copper-nickel blend, as silver was phased out of U.S. coinage due to rising costs. However, there was still a small, rare group of 1978 dimes that were struck with silver planchets, the leftover silver coins from earlier years. This accidental mintage of silver dimes is what makes the 1978 Roosevelt Dime so interesting, because the silver variety is incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. You might be wondering, what's the big deal about silver dimes? Well, silver coins are far more valuable than their copper-nickel counterparts due to the precious metal content. A standard 1978 Roosevelt dime made from copper and nickel is worth just a few cents, but a silver 1978 dime contains 90% silver, which gives it intrinsic value far beyond its face value. It's the rarity of these silver dimes, combined with their silver content, that makes them so desirable among coin collectors and investors. But how can you tell if you have a silver 1978 Roosevelt dime? Great question. The easiest way to determine if your dime is silver is to check its edge. If the edge looks shiny and silver, it's likely made from silver. Copper-nickel dimes will have a more dull, copper-colored edge. Another way to identify it is by weighing the coin. A typical copper-nickel dime weighs about 2.27 grams, while a silver 1978 dime weighs approximately 2.5 grams. If your dime weighs more than the standard 2.27 grams, there's a good chance you've found a rare silver version. But what makes the 1978 Roosevelt silver dime even more interesting is the fact that it was produced during a time when most coins were being minted with no silver content. This makes the accidental minting of silver dimes even rarer. Collectors who focus on silver dimes from this period are often willing to pay top dollar for one in pristine condition, as they are not just valuable for their metal content, but also because they are seen as a historical curiosity and a reminder of a transitional period in U.S. coinage. Now, let's talk about the value of a 1978 Roosevelt silver dime. As with all coins, the value depends on several factors, including the coin's condition, its rarity, and market demand. Most of the silver dimes from 1978 are worth significantly more than their face value, but if you happen to have one that is in uncirculated or near-mint condition, you could be sitting on a true treasure. But just how much could a silver 1978 Roosevelt dime be worth? If your dime is in excellent, near-perfect condition, it could be worth a mind-blowing amount of money. Coins in top condition are always highly prized by collectors, and the 1978 Roosevelt silver dime is no exception. Some of these dimes have been known to fetch a staggering price at auction, with the most pristine examples selling for as much as $52,000. That's right, $52,000 for a single dime. So, if you happen to come across a 1978 Roosevelt silver dime, take a closer look. It could be the rare, silver version that's worth thousands of dollars. Remember, condition is key. If your dime is in great shape, don't hesitate to get it graded by a professional coin grading service. A certified, high-quality coin can fetch a much higher price than one that's simply left in a drawer or coin jar. In conclusion, the 1978 Roosevelt Silver 1 dime is a rare and valuable coin that could be worth far more than you might expect. With its accidental silver mintage, it's one of the most sought-after coins for collectors, and finding one in excellent condition is a true treasure hunt. So, if you have one of these dimes in your collection, or if you happen to spot one in your spare change, be sure to check it closely. It could be worth $52,000. Today we've got something truly special for you. In this video, we'll be diving into the fascinating world of the 1980 Roosevelt Silver Dime, a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but could be worth an extraordinary amount of money. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone curious about rare coins, this video is packed with valuable information you won't want to miss. Let's take a step back in time and talk about the history of the Roosevelt Dime. First introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, this dime has become one of the most iconic coins in American history. Roosevelt, who led the country through the Great Depression and World War II, was immortalized on the obverse side of the coin, designed by artist John R. Sinek. The reverse side features a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing the values of liberty, peace, and strength. For decades, this dime has been an important piece of U.S. currency. By the time 1980 rolled around, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for over 30 years. However, not all 1980 dimes are created equal. You see, although most dimes produced in this era were struck from a copper-nickel alloy, there's a small but significant number of dimes from 1980 that were minted with silver. These dimes are rare, and their value is much higher than that of the standard copper-nickel dimes. So, how did silver dimes from 1980 come to be? Well, after the U.S. government stopped using silver in most circulating coins in 1965, there were still some leftover silver planchets from earlier years. These leftover silver coins were occasionally used in the minting process by mistake. As a result, a small number of 1980 Roosevelt dimes were struck on silver planchets rather than the regular copper-nickel ones. This makes these silver 1980 dimes incredibly rare and highly desirable to collectors. You might be thinking, how can I tell if I have one of these rare silver dimes? Good question. The easiest way to identify a silver 1980 Roosevelt dime is by looking at its edge. If the edge of the dime is shiny and silver, that's a strong indication it's made of silver. In contrast, the copper-nickel dimes will have a duller, more copper-colored edge. You can also weigh the coin. A regular copper-nickel 1980 dime weighs 2.27 grams, while a silver 1980 dime weighs about 2.5 grams. If your dime feels a little heavier than usual, you might just have a silver one. But what makes the 1980 Roosevelt Silver Dime so valuable? Beyond the fact that it's made of silver, the rarity of this coin is a key factor in its worth. Most of the dimes produced in 1980 were made from the copper-nickel alloy, so finding a silver version is a real rarity. Only a small number of these silver dimes were accidentally minted, making them highly sought after by numismatists and collectors. And, as with any rare coin, the condition of the coin is everything. If the coin is in mint condition, free of wear, scratches, or discoloration, it can be worth a lot more than a well-circulated version. Now, you may be wondering just how much a silver 1980 Roosevelt dime could be worth. The value of these coins depends on their condition, but if you've got a pristine, uncirculated silver dime, you could be holding on to something truly valuable. A 1980 Roosevelt silver dime in excellent condition could be worth an impressive amount of money, with the most prized examples fetching up to $56,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $56,000 for a single dime. Imagine that. What may seem like an ordinary coin could be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it's the rare silver variety from 1980 and in perfect condition. The rarity of these silver dimes combined with their historical significance makes them incredibly valuable in the world of coin collecting. If you happen to have one of these dimes, it's worth getting it professionally graded to see just how much it could be worth. A certified high-quality coin can bring in much more at auction than one that is simply kept in a drawer. In addition to the rarity and precious metal content, there is also a unique appeal to the 1980 Roosevelt silver dime for collectors who are passionate about mint errors and oddities. Coins that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets are fascinating pieces of history, and collectors are always eager to add them to their collections. The 1980 silver dime is a perfect example of a coin that was produced due to a minting error, something that collectors absolutely love. So, how can you maximize the value of your 1980 Roosevelt silver dime? First, make sure it's in good condition. If it's been in circulation, it might have some wear and tear, but coins that are in pristine, Uncirculated condition are the ones that command top dollar. Next, get your coin professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service. Grading ensures that potential buyers know exactly what kind of condition the coin is in, which can make all the difference when it comes to selling or auctioning it off. To sum it all up, the 1980 Roosevelt Silver Dime is not just another dime, it's a rare and valuable piece of American history. If you come across one of these silver dimes, be sure to check it carefully, because it could be worth far more than its face value. Whether you're a coin collector, an investor, or simply someone looking to discover hidden treasures, the 1980 Roosevelt Silver Dime is a coin you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for. And now, for the big reveal. The value of a pristine 1980 Roosevelt Silver Dime could be a whopping $56,000. That's right, $56,000. So, the next time you're flipping through your coins, make sure to give that 1980 dime a second look. It could turn out to be worth far more than you ever imagined. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you found this video interesting and want to learn more about rare coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future discoveries. Who knows, your next coin could be worth a fortune. Happy collecting, and we'll see you in the next video.